What's up, y'all? TBrown31 here with JaboctheGreat. Once again, we are back with another episode of the Last Word podcast, and we are back with our weekend picks. This weekend in football, we got the conference championship games in the NFL. We're going to start with the NFC championship game. This one, we are actually going to split. We were talking before the video started, about our picks real quick, but I'm going to go with the Niners in this one. And go ahead and explain why you're picking the Lions, which I think is, a fair pick. A lot of based off what we saw this past weekend, the availability of certain players. But go ahead and give your reasons why.
Yeah, man, I'm gonna take the Lions mostly on feeling and good vibes, but I do genuinely think the Lions have a good shot to win this game. I think that their offense has been on a roll. Obviously, they stalled out in the second half against the Rams. They still got the win there. They were much more consistent against the Buccaneers. I think that the Niners have faced a little bit of trouble in their one game here so far. The Packers definitely put up a scare, and obviously that Packers team put a beat down on the Cowboys, so they're no slouch.
Right.
But I think the Niners have got some weaknesses that can be easily exploited if Jared Goff and Amon-Ra St. Brown show up pretty consistently, if Jahmyr Gibbs can get going, if they even get back to a more split game between Gibbs and Montgomery. I think that I think that the Lions are versatile enough to give the Niners enough trouble and good enough on defense to hold off for a victory. And really, that's I think what's going to come down to for me is that I think Brock should have thrown like 3 interceptions last game, but the Packers couldn't bring them in. I believe that the Lions defenders are going to be much better if Brock is a little too loose with the ball. I don't think he's going to be as lucky to have them go to the dirt. I think they'll end up in Lions' hands. And if the Niners fall too far behind from some turnovers, I don't think that's going to happen. This could get really ugly for the Lions quickly as well with the way their secondary is. If Deebo Samuel's healthy, that could be a big issue for them. I do think that no matter which way this game goes, we should have at least some sort of a shootout style game. I think Detroit has been pretty good all season. I think nobody's really underrated them, but I do think people have kind of questioned, the legitimacy of them at times. I think that, win or lose, they'll come out and prove that they are a top tier team who can go toe to toe with other top tier teams. I mean, these two teams have the exact same record. But ultimately, it's going to come down to I think the Lions defense is going to be a little scrappy. I think the Niners are a little too loose with the ball against the Packers, and it's just feels like something that they might not be able to clean up. And I think that the Lions are better at making teams pay for those kind of mistakes. Nothing against Brock. I think Brock's going to have a good game. CMC is obviously a big danger. But yeah, I think this one could come down to probably like I don't know, this is a weird score, but like a 28-27 type of Lions victory. I think it's going to be a nail biter all the way through. And I think Detroit will do it for the people and make it to the Super Bowl here.
Yeah, I wouldn't be mad, if the Lions got in. I think most people, there might be certain players on the Lions that some people might not be fans of, but CJ Gardner-Johnson still is a very talented player, and I'll give you that. They Lions defense can make some plays, and they, we talked about it. They came in, they made some plays at the end of the game against Baker, getting that last interception early in the game off the tip from Mike Evans. So they can come in, make some plays, but overall, like in general, I would trust the Niners defense more than the Lions defense. And what you were mentioning about the Niners having more of a shaky performance last week, you can argue, who's better, the Bucs or the Packers. I mean, both teams the entire season pretty inconsistent. Both teams beat the mess out of an NFC East team in the wild card round. So, you make that argument all day, but I think that is going to play in the Niners' favor because I said it, coming out of that last video, even in the Niners pick video against the Packers that we did last week, like you can't underestimate the Packers as what they did to the Cowboys, and they didn't play their best game. I think they come into this one, they know that they can't just sit here and say, okay, Brock Purdy, he's got to be way better with the ball because, like you said, multiple times he could have been intercepted that he wasn't. I mean, it's not like they beat the mess out the Packers, so like it was a very close game. Missed field goal obviously was huge there. Like just little things in games like these make the difference. And I think this time around, they'll flip it around. They'll be making all the big plays here. Both teams, I expect both teams to run the ball well, despite, their defense is top 5 in running against them. So, like, it's kind of a funny kind of situation there. Both teams can run the ball really well, and both teams are good at defending running the run. So like you never really know there. I mean, it's kind of a funny scenario there, but for me, yeah, I'd still take Christian McCaffrey over any running back on the Lions. That's no disrespect to Montgomery. That's no disrespect to Gibbs. Like nobody else. But Christian McCaffrey right now, best running back in football. Niners still have the better weapons overall. Deebo Samuel not being there though, if that's gonna happen, he's questioned right now. May play, may not. That's gonna be a big issue. If he doesn't, we talked about Deebo being out, what that does for the Niners, what that does specifically for Brock Purdy. Not good. But at least having the rest of the guys there, and maybe some of those same guys that were able to step up in Debo's absence, step up. That'll lead them to the win. But yeah, I absolutely respect your pick there. I just think Niners, they're gonna get this dub, get back to another Super Bowl. Maybe win this time, maybe not, but we'll see. Based off of this one, the AFC Championship game, we're actually gonna both pick the Ravens against the Kansas City Chiefs, who somehow keep getting away with it.
Yeah, this one is frustrating. It's we picked against the Chiefs a few times throughout the season, and it doesn't work out. Most of those times, I don't know if it's worked out a single one of the times that I picked against them this season. This is a good team who played poorly in the regular season. I mean, poorly enough to still end up 11-6, but poorly by their own standards. And then they get to the playoffs and they face some tough opponents, and they don't make them look as tough. I mean, the Bills definitely put up a huge fight. They had some tragedy occur towards the end to send them back to, or keep them in Buffalo because they didn't have to go very far. This time, I do genuinely think that it's over. And that's nothing against the Chiefs here. The Ravens have been, honestly, to me, one of the probably the best team in the league this season. They have been dominant on defense. You can't really get the run game going against them. I think Isaiah Pacheco has been great. Mr. Angry Runner himself. I don't think he's going to be able to get as much of an impact against that Baltimore defense. The Chiefs have been lucky to have not had most of their passing struggles in the playoffs. Obviously, we had the Travis Kelce, Patrick Mahomes connection alive and well in the previous game. I do think that the defense for Baltimore is going to be able to kind of snuff that out some as well. I don't think we're going to shut out the Chiefs or anything, but I think they're going to be able to make the impact a little less damaging to themselves. And then with that, that Ravens offense is insane. That run game is really, really good. I think they'll make a lot of impact against the Chiefs. I think Lamar, if needed to, can make some pretty good passing strikes to Isaiah Likely and Zay Flowers and really pick apart that Chiefs defense as well. The Chiefs defense has definitely been probably one of the better parts of their team this season. But I don't think they're good enough to hold off this Baltimore team. I think this is just one of the more complete teams. I mean, the Niners are definitely just as complete. We just saw what happened when they played each other a few weeks ago, though. I think the Ravens kind of have to me, be the more complete team. They have been really good against teams with winning records this season. And 9 of their 11 wins against winning record teams, they were like double digits. So the Ravens have been super, super strong. That continued last week after a slow start against the Texans. The Chiefs definitely going to put up a fight. I'm not going to count out this Chiefs team ever, no matter where they're at. But I do think that Lamar and the Ravens are just a stronger team, the more consistent team. They haven't really showed many of their weaknesses unless it was against their divisional opponent or Gardner Minshew that one week. Other than that, I think the Ravens have been just really, really good. And I do believe that they're going to take this one and head on to the Super Bowl. So it would be great to see Lamar move forward. I have no actual hatred against the Chiefs. It would just be really nice to see, different players get to make it to the Super Bowl. And Lamar, he told Baltimore, you're going to get everything out of me. You're going to get a Super Bowl. I'd like to see that. At least him have a good chance to play in a Super Bowl for the Ravens here this year.
Yeah, I don't want to say it to like discount, what they've done this year because they've obviously been the best team, but this is probably their best chance, like in the immediate future, I would say, with everybody, all the quarterbacks that are coming back next year off of injury, the quarterbacks that are coming in the draft, like all the off-season moves that are going to happen, the coaching changes, like this it definitely feels like it's just their year, and sometimes that's just how it is in football. If we're going to be honest here, like when the Bucks won with Brady, like it just felt like it was their year. Once they came on, the second half of the season, the Rams, when they won, it just felt like their year. Like maybe it's the Ravens' year. And right now, I think it's pretty, obvious the Ravens are the better team. Like I don't think that's a slight towards the Chiefs or anything. And it's not doubting Mahomes. It's not even a Mahomes versus Lamar thing. It's just the Ravens. Lamar is the MVP probably going to be this year. Ravens have just simply been the better team, been mostly consistent for the most part. Like their losses are kind of funny when you look at them. They lose to the Browns in that game where Deshaun had like the best second half of football that he's had in probably like 2-3 years. Two losses to the Steelers. One with all the starters sitting, but still, then that weird Colts game. But like for the most part, they just been so good this year. And I talked about this, in the video on Tuesday. It's like, what are the odds that the Chiefs have the type of game that they had against the Bills, against the Ravens? Like, I just don't think that's going to happen again. Like, sure, Isaiah Pacheco, I think he'll still be pretty good. That defense, obviously, for and not completely decimated like the Bills were. They actually have linebackers that are alive and available. Yes. And Travis Kelce, he had his best game in a while. Mahomes is still going to do what he does, but this just isn't. It's not going to be a typical game for the Chiefs. I'd say like they're going to have to go above and beyond to me for them to be able to win this game. I think the Ravens, on the other hand, they just play their style of football that they've been playing all season. They do what they've been doing all season. This should be again. It's going to be close. Like I would probably say it end up being 27-20. I would something like that. I don't think they'll get a lot of explosive plays against that Ravens defense, but they'll get some plays, I think. But it's just, I think this is just the year for the Ravens. They're just the better team right now. This is their best opportunity, and unless we get some kind of Herculean performance by Mahomes and the rest of that Chiefs offense, and hoping that Chiefs defense, like you said, that really has been the star of this team this year, they have to find some way to stop Lamar. They couldn't stop Josh Allen really on the ground. I don't think they're going to be able to do it for Lamar. Lamar's improved so much as a passer recently too. Like, I think it's just going to be a tall task to me, and that's weird to say. Talking about a Chiefs team, but all signs are pointing towards a Ravens victory. But heck, man, we might be wrong. It's like us and everybody else are wrong about the Bills game. So we'll see. Definitely excited for the conference championships this weekend, and we'll be back next week with all the coverage.